Hello, welcome back to this Intro to C programming tutorial. I'm your host, Evan Gertis, and I'm excited to share with you the tools that we will be using. So a rehash, in the last video, we discussed the following tool sets: Mingy W64, Visual Studio Code, Git version control. Why do we discuss these tools? We'll be using these to develop C programs that we can compile on our machine, run, test, and track changes with. Mingy W64, formerly known as Mingy W32, is a free and open source software development environment to create Microsoft Windows applications. The development of the original Mingy W project was halted in 2013, but an alternative, which we will use, called Mingy W W64, has been created by a different author to include several new APIs and provide 64-bit support. This was taken from Wikipedia. This is a very accurate description of Mingy W64. Just to explain what an API is, it's an application programming interface that will allow us to interface to work with our machine to run code that will allow us to write files to our machine, delete files on our machine, for example. The other tool that we'll be using, this was taken directly from Visual Studio, the Visual Studio Code Wikipedia. Visual Studio Code is a source code editor developed by Microsoft Windows. Feel free to pause the slide and review this information if you feel that you need to. And then finally, the last tool that we discussed was Git. Git is a free and open source distributed version control system designed to handle all types of things. It's a tool that we will use to track changes in our code. All right, let's begin our journey in finding these different tools on the internet. So I'm going to pull up Google Chrome. That's just the tool that I prefer to use to get my software. So the first thing that we need to do is go to Git, download. So simply go to the download for Git, and if you're a Windows user, please click on the download 2.21.0 for Windows. Currently, this is the version of Git that's available for me. Once you've downloaded that, just click through the installation. And then we are going to click on Environment Variables. So edit the system environment variables. And then Environment Variables. You'll see that I have several different things. You'll go to Path, Edit, and now the thing that you will want to add to your path, for me, let me go ahead and open up File Explorer in here, and I will go to C and Program Files. I'm looking for the installation of Git, Program Files, Git, bin. Bin stands for binary, and we're going to want to add the git.exe, the binary executable, the code that will allow us, the machine code that will allow us to run Git on our machine. So please copy this whole entire directory from File Explorer, and then you're going to want to add that to your path like so. So let me see if I can find mine in here. What you want to do is copy this, Control C, and then Control V into your path. I won't be doing that in mine, but that's because I have mine set up differently. That will allow us to run Git from the command line. So how do we test if we have Git working properly? Simply click on Command Prompt and type Git. If this does not work for you, please leave some information in the comments. I will try to help you, but I would highly recommend that you try and figure out the problem on your own. I've shown you how to download the tool, how to add it to your path. That should be enough to get you started with the tool. Okay. Now, let's work backwards. The next tool that we need is Visual Studio Code Download. Click on Visual Studio Code, the first link, and then please click on this. Click all the way through to get Visual Studio Code downloaded. And now I have my environment set up in a way such that I can just simply type code. What does this do? It opened it in a different window, but on your computer it should open code directly for you if your installation was successful. Now yours is not going to do that immediately. I want to show you how you can get it set up. You'll be able to click on this Windows icon and go Visual Studio Code, and you should have something like this with a blue background, and you'll be able to open it up from this. But if you would like to open it from command prompt, let me show you how you would do that. Once again, we're going to go to environment variables. We're going to edit the path. And we're going to go to File Explorer, go back one, go back. Let's find Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to pause the video here for a second while I look for Visual Studio Code in my directories. Okay, quick correction. You do not need to actually add this to your path. It should be set up from the installation. So if you were able to successfully run code and have this window open, then it was installed successfully in your path. Okay, so that's how we get Visual Studio Code set up. Now, the first tool that we discussed, last tool that we need to install, will be MinGW 64 download. Please click on this link. Please click on downloads. And please pick the Windows download. So go through all the steps to download this software properly. And once you've done that, what you will do is we will find MinGW where it was installed on our machine. Mine is here, MinGW 64, and then I will click on bin for binary. Again, remember, we're going to need to understand what these executables actually are, okay? These are the tools that will allow us to compile code. We will be compiling code in the command line. It is important that you understand what this is. It is binary code that will run on our machine and process the inputs that we pass into it. So please go ahead and copy this path that ends with /bin. We will add that to our path. You can see that I've already done that. There we go. Okay. Now, after you've done that, you will need to restart your machine. You need to restart your machine so that your path actually changes. So restart your machine and then continue following along with the video. So please take a moment now to restart your machine and let us begin writing our first C program. All right, please come back after you've done that. All right, thank you for restarting your machine. Now let us write our first C program. This is Visual Studio Code. This will be our code editor. We can go up to File. We will let's create a new folder. So please click on Open Folder. This is a little bit interesting how this is set up. Then please click on the directory where you are going to be saving your information for this course. I've placed mine in Intro to C. And then we will go ahead and right-click to make a new file. Sorry, new folder. Let us call this Hello World. Go ahead and click inside that directory and then select folder. Over here on the left, we have our file structure. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add a new file. We will call this hello.c. And in this file, we're going to include two libraries for our program. The first one will be include standard library.h. These are known as header files. They allow us to import some functionality from libraries written by other developers, and then include standard library or standard library.h. Excellent. Now, every C program begins with a main entry point. So this is going to be our entry point for the program. This is typical of a structured language. So ours is going to be called int, and then it's going to be called main, which is a function. And then to invoke this function, we will open and close parentheses, and then enclose our code in brackets. So for main, we can see that we are returning an integer value. What is an integer value? An integer value is a number that, for example, is 1, 2, 3, 4. They are whole numbers, and that's what our program is going to be expected to return. So before we even write a line of code, let us write our return statement here. So return 0. Now, we're going to print hello world. So to understand what we're going to do, we're going to be using a function from stdlib.h, standard library.h, and the function that we will use in that library is printf, which is formatted print statement. And we will pass it in a string value. A string value in C can be defined. Oops. Please stop listening. I'm sorry. I have a program that allows me to write my programs as I speak. Okay. So we are now passing in hello world. Oops. And let us close this with a semicolon that allows the program to stop. That's our line that we're going to be executing. This is a very simple program, but it's enough to get you started in writing your own C programs. I will press Control backtick to open up the terminal. You could also click on Terminal, and then you can click on New Terminal, and it would open up a terminal here. This terminal has the same functionality, similar functionality to command prompt. I'm using git bash. It will still process commands in the same way. Okay, so very similar to this. So we want to compile this code. So what we will write is G++ hello.c and then -o for output. And I typically call my executables, my test code proc, P-R-O-C. What is this going to do? It will compile our code with a G++ compiler. There we go. You'll see that we now have a new file created called proc.exe. You have two choices. You can either run it directly here in the terminal. If you're using git bash, you can type \proc.exe. It'll print out hello world. Or if you prefer to use the command prompt, I'm now currently in my directory for my course, so I press dir. As you can see, intro to C, that is the directory that I'm using for my code. And we will go ahead and get into this folder. So I will go cd hello world, change directory into hello world, run dir to show me the files in this directory. I can see I have hello world.c. Let me go ahead and remove proc with rm, proc.exe. I'm thinking of Linux. Let me go ahead and run delete proc.exe. Let's run dir again. Nothing's there. Now let us run g++ hello.c -o proc. Okay, now let us run dir to see the files that we have in the directory. proc.exe. Let us go ahead and run this. So you can just type proc and then tab to auto-complete it. And if we run this, we should get a hello world to print. There we go. Hello world. Okay, thank you for watching this quick introduction to C. In the subsequent videos of this tutorial, I will have more in-depth videos, but I would like you to understand that this tutorial is geared towards absolute beginners in C, and I would like to make videos that will help you understand data structures and algorithms and basic C programming. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please subscribe for more content and like the video. Thank you. Goodbye.